how do you expect to get laughs with such a serious page of history? This was a true thing and it's out and out dramatic. Where do you think you're going to get laughs? I don't know. I figured I could get them. Said, maybe you'd like this story better. So I told him of this girl whose husband had deserted her, and she's got this baby, and it's a baby in arms. And she has no way of supporting it. She's kicked out of her place. She doesn't know what to do, so she goes down in at night, sneaks into the high-class section of this city, and sees a limousine parked alongside of a beautiful home, a mansion. She pushes the baby in the back seat of that limousine and sneaks away into the night and heads for the bridge. She's just about to throw herself off the bridge when the policeman catches her and takes down and he just takes her away. But a couple of crooks about this time steal the limousine in front of that house. And they get it down behind the gas house works. And they get the other license plates to change license plates on it and put a fast paint spray job on it. When they discover they've got a baby in the back seat, they certainly want to get rid of it, and they just take it over and put it on the first doorstep. Down in the slums, this is the slums of the city. And out comes this bum in the morning, nearly falls over this baby. Nobody claims it. There's nothing in the choices. He owns a baby. Says, and that's it. And of course, the society wanted to take the baby away from him, and he fought to keep it. But not nothing. Like that story, he says, that's worse than the general. I told him Chaplin's kids. I know it. Sure.
By the way, I ain't seeing it, Buzz. I think you get a I thought this when I was talking to Ellen, and she probably told you. Well, suppose you had a daughter on this wagon train, and she didn't know you. She wouldn't know you to see you. You hadn't seen her for years. She'd been taken away from you for some reason or other, which we've got to decide. And your whole reason for being here, you've got to have a reason, see, for being there. But that's the secret of the whole thing, is that we must have a reason for you to be on the train, and we must have a reason for you to pick up the train like you do.
There's another way, as far as that goes, as you could do. The same as I told you before when I wanted to do it with Marie Dressler.
Yeah.
I only had one thing. She wanted to get to California. What the reason was, I don't know, and we didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
She was going.
Yeah.
But my plot was to make good in her eyes, that was all. That was my whole plot.
Yeah.
I'd almost have the same thing here, independent of the story. Whether I had a good reason to get to California, whether I had a daughter on the train or anything else, I still got to make good for Ward Bun.
That's right. You've got to have there's got to be a reason. And there should be a real serious, dramatic story underlying the whole schmear, you know.
And the stereotype thing of jumping an Indian that was just about to land on his back with a Tommy Hawk.
That's right.
That's not it.
No, that's merely a thing, you know. Yeah. There's got to be an underlying emotional reason, let's say, because that's a good word. No story's any good unless there's a certain amount of emotion in it, you know. It'll play. They must have a dramatic story. Now, all we need to do is go in there and tell them, we're going to have the little wagon and we're going to play the gags, but that this whole thing is completely serious. That there's a big danger, there's some kind of danger, which you very well know before you come out there, see. But you're trying to make them believe that you're just going along, a simple little fella, with his little things that he does. But all the time, underneath, that there's serious trouble coming up somewhere, either between the people, or maybe there's a man on that caravan, on that wagon train, that to be up to no good, a very tough guy, But nobody else knows this. He's apparently an all right fella. And we'd make him a big important type heavy, you know, Lee Van Cleef or somebody, you know. Used to be Lee Marvin too, till he turned cop. And nobody else believes this about this fellow, see? In other words, we got to have another character. We can invent a character like that. And maybe the girl is about to marry this guy. You know, she's fallen for this guy. And it's up to you to prevent this because you know that this guy's no good. It's up to you also to prove that he's no good. And when we get up to the big climax, whatever it is that we do, we will show him to be a coward and an unworthy guy. You see what I mean? Something like that. So something along that line is what we're going to have to do to go in and tell Christy, see. Now we can fool with it, you know. I mean, heck. But I have to get, or we're going to have to get to tell him something about the other characters, what they're like, you know. I think you've got to be, what you said before is true, Buzz. You've got to have been across this trail before.
Well, I'm going to lead into a gag like that.
Yeah, you got it.
Making that outfit move at night.
Yeah, you
and
got it.
And not get snowed in.
Yeah. Well, they first think you're a greenhorn. We could make some variations on that theme, Buzz. Suppose first they think you're a greenhorn, see, you know.
And, or in the way you do things, so you're either from the city,
yeah,
from the east especially.
Yeah, but you see, you could be from the east. Most everybody was from the east then.
Yeah.
But you would have to have been there before. Now we could start playing it as if you hadn't been, and all of a sudden it comes to an emergency. You go and tell Bonnie, he says, "What do you know?" And then you tell him, he says, "You've been this way before," and then you don't answer him, see. You know.
Yeah.
And then he says, then Bon begins to worry. He says, "Well, what's this guy? How does he know this? I've been this way before too, you know. How did he know it? I know it, but how did he know it?" You see?
Yeah. For instance, if he's going to get into that situation of Donna Lake.
Yeah, well, it would have to be, everybody else would be against it, but you and
he's never hit there in the fall of the year before. He always managed to get in there before snowfall and didn't know anything about it. That it was a common thing for 6 and 7 feet of snow to fall in 24 hours.
24 hours. Now, I wonder how they managed to get them in that situation. They certainly must have made a boob out of Bond somewhere along the line because Bond is supposed to know all this. But I suppose they just skipped all that and just, you know, didn't bother to play it, see. Because face it.
Well, somebody had to find it out for the first time.
Yeah, but they're after the Donner Party. See,
now,
there was 64, the Donner Party was in the 40s.
Yeah, and it commenced with, there was no Los Angeles. It was all heading for Sacramento.
Oh, of course.
All of them. Well, they had to come through. They had to come past Tahoe and.
They had to come down over the Donner. Well, the Donner was the wrong way. No, that was the wrong way. The way they came was down through the Humboldts.
They did. Well, and for some reason they've got steering into Donner Lake.
That is the way it is.
At that time,
Donner is the wrong way to go.
Because
Humboldt's the right way to go. Humboldt Sink and Humboldt Slow.
Because the outfit that got caught in there was led by the man named Donner.
That is right.
The lake after him.
That is right.
Time, what's the name of? There is no Donner Lake. There's another name.
It's 20 years prior to this time. We're in 1866. The Donner Party was in 1848. See, it's almost 20 years. It's 18 years since the Donner Party when they get out there. Of course, they put this thing in the 1860s. They shouldn't have done it. See, they should have stuck to 1849. I feel, but they wanted to get the 6th gun in, and they wanted to. You know,
oh yeah, I see.
They wanted to get the war in the background instead of in the foreground.
Well, now they were supposed to have been well advised and knew what they were doing too. That went through that lake.
Well, yeah, they had the wrong steering. Yeah, they had the wrong steering
because it was a wagon outfit that got in there. Not just one, not one wagon.
Oh no, there were several wagons. They wound up beating each other. Yeah. Because they've done that story. If they hadn't done that story, I asked right away. I said, "You're up there. What about that story?" And Bud told me. This is a friend of mine, not the agent. Said, "No, they've done that story. They've done that one. Actually,
they're getting trapped in there by snow.
Yeah,
or trying to get out of it, or avoiding it, or just.
I don't know how they did it, Bud, but they did it. You know, I don't know how. I can find out. Because I have a friend that does a lot of rewrites over there, I can find out what they did about it.
I know the history of that thing because I've used it so many times for location.
Yeah, sure you did. Sure. Well, it's a famous story, of course. But I would rather rather have, rather than a story like that, which would be a rather touchy thing to do anyway, you know, cannibalism isn't exactly a charming subject.
No.
I don't see how
You didn't have much choice in that one.
No, I don't see how you're going to touch on the story without, at least people will remember that there was cannibalism. I'd rather get a straightforward story. A straightforward story about a girl and her father or uncle or whatever it is. I think the father-daughter relationship is a good one. Especially if there's a pathos to it that the father had, the girl had been taken away by the mother who deserted the father, don't you know, in a hard time or something long ago, and gee, that's kind of good too, you know. That's where you were, out in the trail, you see. But when you come into this one, you're pretending. You're playing the part of a greenhorn until something comes up like you just said about trailing out at night, and you say, no, if you do that, there's trouble ahead. And they say, well, now how does he know? So of course you don't tell it only to Blonde, see. And Blonde flips his lid. He says, you're a greenhorn, you don't know anything. How do you know this? And then you say, well, 5 miles down the road, there's a creek that at this time will be running full, and you ought to know that. And 10 miles further on, you're going to run into a big declivity, and you know you're going to have to rope the wagons down. You can't rope the wagons down. And if it starts to snow, you're caught down there. And you know it. And he says, yeah, I know it. But how did you know it?
Well, no, look at it from the other angle, too, that if you're going to accomplish something, he can't know it because he's never taken this route before.
Well, now he might do
that. So that's your other...
Might do that, Buster.
Somebody has talked him into taking the wrong route. But if they don't want to do the snow thing, which is...
We'll have to find that out.
That's an expensive job.
That's an expensive thing.
Damn expensive,
yes,
too.
Yes, it is. The way they could do it is like the one they told Bud, in which they, just as they start, a few flakes of snow come down to show that it is going to snow, see?
Yeah.
You know, that costs nothing. That costs a box of cornflakes, you know, and an electric fan. That's when you're in trouble. No, you're in trouble. They ain't gonna go for that. No, I just want to escape the whole snow bit. I want to escape.
Yeah. I was looking at it for a possible.
Yeah. If we can avoid the snow bit, we'll avoid it.
What would happen to that outfit having to move that wagon train at night?
Yeah.
Through a mountain.
In the mountain.
Because the desert country, the plains, that wouldn't be too bad a problem. But when you start going through mountains, you're in a hell of a fix.
Yeah.
Whose is that, yours?
Yeah. That's one of those Ronson. They're made by Ronson with the same thing as the other one. They're a little heavier, Bus.
Yeah.
A little more solid.
Now the bamboo shoot is cut. Now let's see what I think to do is right up here.
Isn't it too hot for you there, Bus, with that sun on your back?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you put it over there? The sun's right in your back. Kill you. I went to grammar school with that son. He's 4 days older than I am. Gosh, that's almost 50 years ago. My God, he and I went to school together because we were just little kids in grammar school. Good gosh, he just retired. Prudential Insurance Company. Got a little trailer he's seeing the country now.
I always people try to figure something here. A horse can be driven into quicksand, but it's a mule or somebody or a burro or something that you can't get near sitting quicksand.
Is that so? I didn't know that.
There's one of them. I'm trying. I don't remember how to find that out.
Well, I can find out. Don't worry about it.
You can?
Yeah. I have two
in
friends.
In other words, my team would come in handy when it comes across a bad spot in the creek.
I have two friends that are perfect on that sort of thing. They know all those details. They're not such wonderful writers themselves, but they are wonderful.
It seems to me the average horse knows it too, but you can drive him into it.
Yeah. I don't remember about the horse.
The wild horse will shy from it and get out of the way. But if driven, it's a different proposition. And I think it's the mule that won't go, you can't drive it. He just won't be driven into it.
It seems to me I remember something about that bus, but like you, I can't pin it down. But I can find out about that in the telephone call. The fellow that does the rewrites on the Wagon Train for technicalities is an expert. Dwight Newton. You know, Christie, who produced so many things at Universal, is not a boss of this show. Except that Ward, he's always got to have his say, And Christie likes a sentimental story.
Yeah.
He likes that.
And
I think he's going to have a better series, frankly, because I think he's on the right track. There was a little too much of the dramatic soap opera type thing last year on that show. I thought there were just too many things that belong more in a woman's story than a man's story. And Howard will go for the fight, the big thing, as long as he has a reason for it. There's a dramatic reason, you see. Fight for a fight's sake, don't prove a thing. But if there's a sound, dramatic reason behind it, it makes your picture go. If we had a story, I'm just trying.
They did the stereotype thing, but they did it well, and it looked good. Was the drunk that he finally took with him?
Yeah, well, that was our story.
And he gets behind him with a keg of powder and blows up the whole time.
That was ours, yeah. Fay and I
that worked out good.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good. Ernie was great, wasn't he?
Yeah.
See, I knew we had Ernie. Fay didn't know Ernie from Hole in the Ground because Fay don't even go to movies. But I knew we had Ernie before the thing started. So I told him, I said, look, this guy is an actor and he will get sympathy. I don't care how you play this guy, he can get sympathy for you with that wonderful Italian face. A beautiful smile. Yeah. I said, you can't beat this guy. He is going to get sympathy for you. So we played him for a drunken, no good bum, but you had to like him. You had to like Ernie. That worked out pretty good. I wrote that ending with the keg powder in the wagon and sent the whole wagon down the hill, but they couldn't do it. See, with Ernie on the wagon.
Oh, blow him up with it?
No, I had him jump off at the last minute, but you just saw sort of a blur. You know how you would in the action, and then you pick up a shot of him rolling. And you get a little suspenseful second there. But this way was better. I'm glad they did it this way. It's better than the way I wrote it.
As long as he's a big enough guy that you could call him an ex-heavyweight champ, too.
Yeah, well, he is big enough. He's burly.
That when he threw that keg of powder, it looked like he was, for Christ's sake, it was one of those things they have on the end of a destroyer that throws out the death bombs.
Ernie's got the burly figure for it. He's not so tall, but he weighs a good 200, He's a nice fellow. He's a nice, decent guy. And Ward loved him. Of course, that don't do you any harm on that show, If Ward don't like the actor, Ward's going to upstage him, and he's going to do everything in the world to him. He is. He and Horton don't get along too good,
Who?
He and that other fellow, Horton. Well, they get along all right, but they don't get along good,
Oh, the scout?
Yeah. He ain't too friendly with Horton. First, Bond scared everybody at review. He's got a big fat contract. He went over there and hollered and yelled, and God, he scared them all. The language he uses. He's a bad boy when he gets screaming. Of course, I like him. I think he's one of them. We did that script. He read the script. He came in and I had done some rewrites on it. He says, what happened to all that good stuff was in there? Put it back. And it went back. Every scene. We can get wonderful scenes with you and Ward. This I'm not worried about at all. And I want to put Ward in the story so that this is a Ward Bond story. The other guy, he can be off, You can send him away,
show you one place where I'd never have to worry for a second for a comedy routine. We're going through this one stretch of mountain where we find a lake. Jesus Christ, everybody take advantage of this. There ought to be fish in there. Stock up on as many as you can catch. Well, anytime I was stuck in the old days, I just went fishing. I never failed.
By the way, that's wonderful. Mountain Lake. So let's not forget.
A mountain lake, and he said, stock up on as much. Everybody, women included, everybody fished.
Yeah. Stock up. That's right.
Stock up.
That's good. Let's remember that because that's a
yellow orders at them how to salt it, put it away.
Yeah. Watch my fridge. Yeah. That's a good one.
In other words, if we were in any part of New Mexico and getting into those mountains before we crossed the Mojave Desert, or that section of the country, or Arizona,
you're up in Colorado.
They'd stock up all the fish they could possibly get out of there.
No, you're in Colorado, but you'd stock up fish anyway, Buzz. See, because fresh food is hunting and fishing was the way they kept their fresh food, the healthy food. Everything else, was canned or packaged, and it got pretty bad by the time they got out there. And you start running low, So that's a wonderful thing. We'll sure use that.
Navy beans and cornmeal.
Yeah.
For cornbread.
Yeah. I think I thought of the beginning how even if they don't want to move the train, I thought of how you can do that. You see, all you got to do, Buzz, is take one of the many, many, many thousands of stock shots they have of the wagon train. Cut to the wagon train.
Well, the cuts of me is only one wagon train in front of me.
That's right.
The one wagon train of me go out and match up any location they got.
You come on with your big stock shot, see, and then you match when you go to you, and there's Bond. We don't want anybody else in the scene. It's just you and Bond, see. And they picked that shot up. That cost them nothing, And then we could pick up the wagon train again, and we pick up a shot of you. After all, you're not with the wagon train if we're going to move it, see. If we're moving like we're moving into the mountains, say. All right, there you are. You're sort of, the shot of you is alone. You're moving, but you're moving faster than they are. Then we cut to the camp, and there's the camp, and we go in the camp. We pan or truck with Ward, We walk through, and he's looking around. He always does this, with the bull whip, and he's walking around watching everything. All of a sudden, he sees a little fire. Well, what do we do? He starts toward it. Starts toward it, and there you are. You're already there. He said, "How long you been here?" He said, "Well, I don't know. Been here,
I knew you'd make camp out of it.
Yeah, I figured you'd just about make this far. It's nice here. We get the lake over here, whatever there is, see? Bang, you're there. Now he's completely frustrated, That'll work. It'll cost him nothing. And I don't care what the location is. We can still do it. Now, if they're going to play it in the mountains, all right, we'll play a stationary story. We can go off from the camp in any direction we want to go. Yeah. I don't know whether they're going up in Iverson's or what they're going to do. I don't know. We can find all that out when we talk to them. But the main thing to do is that if we have the story that could be shot anywhere, we got them. Got them over barrel. If you got a good story.
No, then you stay away from the snow if that's the case.
Well, they'll have to tell us about that because I guarantee you they're not going to go for it. They're up their neck now. They got $100,000. There's too much. And the show's only half sold, and they're in trouble. Now he's only got 5 stories left open. They got 34 stories as of now.
New ones to do?
34 new scripts. There's only 5 stories open. He would go for nothing but a big star or a powerful story or both. You haven't got a chance to go in there and sell him a story. That's Howard Christie. That's good planning.
That's a hell of a...
That's good planning, boy. He's way ahead.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Because if you got him like that, my God Almighty, what you save yourself in stock shots.
Oh, you know it. Well, that's what Howard went in. That's what he's been doing all summer, is packing up those stories. The Tommy Thompson went in.
That's a hell of a...
Isn't that a hell of a big game? So now he's only got 5 left over, so he can sit back and say, no, I don't like this, Well, it's got to be better. So that's what Bill Stanton, my agent, when he went in, he said, geez, Bill, he says, there's only 5 left open. I said, look, I'm not worried if he's got 1 left open. The main thing is, does he want to do it with Buster or doesn't he want to do it with Buster? If he wants to do it with Buster Keaton, I ain't worried. I said, if he doesn't want to do it with Buster Keaton for any reason at all, if he doesn't think it's a good idea or something like that, that's his opinion. That's up to him. But just find out if he would be pleased to have Buster Keaton. And of course, the report came back, certainly call us Monday and come in and tell us the story. So I'm going to call him up tomorrow morning. After I talk to my agent. I don't like to call these guys, frankly. I like to have my agent call them. I'm getting a little independent. Get in trouble. Yeah, you better let your agent do it. So I figure, well, he calls, and then you get a hold of Pearson, and then we'll go down there and talk to him. It can't cost us anything to go in and talk to him, you know. He's a nice fella, you know him, don't you, Howard Christie? Red Christie? Used to be at Universal. Great big fella. He was an All-American football player in California some years back. I think he's a little younger than Rosie. And Jess Hibbs. They were before him, I think. Big redhead fella. He's a nice guy. I never worked for him, frankly. Worked for Al Cohen. He was another producer on the lot. But I gotta have a story. I got to have a reason why the daughter's on the train. I got to have a reason why you are following the train. Keep saying the daughter because that sounds like a good idea to me somehow. Rather bust that daughter's thing. It would create a relationship.
I was thinking of another one too, as far as that goes. Said if I was an undercover man for Pinkerton.
Yeah, well, I thought of that too now.
That I finally found what I was looking for. Was to get my hands on Ward Bond's rifle. It's Ward Bond I'm looking for.
I'm afraid we can't do that.
But I mean, if I could find out where the hell he got that gun from, he'd find out that he got it from Frank. Yeah. But I mean, I could have a shell in my pocket that only a certain dent in a hammer could have made that impression in that shell, and I'm looking for that gun.
It's Ward's gun. Where's
Ward's gun?
And where did Ward get the gun? Huh?
I'm sorry, but you're under arrest.
That would be wonderful.
Blow him sky high.
Oh, that would be
after riding me for 40 minutes of the show.
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. But we'd have to go to the real criminals. Jeez, that would be wonderful. A murder happened somewhere.
Well, that could tell you how it worked very easy. Let the audience in on it as far as that goes. We see a dirty crook in his outfit, just first chance to get with nobody, make sure nobody's looking, he just puts one rifle down and picks up the other.
Oh, well, then you couldn't do that because Ward would know if a man knew his rifle like he knew his,
Yeah, that's true.
You couldn't do that thing. But here's what you could do. Here's what you could do. We can make a circle.
I can find the guy because I know what he stole.
And a guy is a thief and a murderer is on it. Let me go back to my attractive character, who everybody likes. This is a very attractive man, see, and he's been a good guy on the thing. Now, unknowns to anybody, this guy has murdered the cashier of a bank and escaped with a barrel of money. Unknown to anyone. See? The Pinkertons don't know who he is. They only have the shell. They have a vague description of him. Now, you're not sure who he is either. You don't know who he is. But you have tracked him down. And see, I'll tell you, well, we'll go back to this other thing I was thinking about, Buster. You remember we were talking about that little fellow that posed as a doctor all the time, the undercover guy, and he didn't look like a bad man. He didn't look like anything. He was one of the biggest bounty hunters in the West. Do you remember that little fella?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a murderous story, This little guy, he was a bad one, this Pinkerton was. He was a real bounty hunter. He went out, he didn't even care if he brought in the right man. He'd kill him and,
he shot first and
well, we don't want to have that ugly part. He was really not a nice man. He was a dreadful man. What we want is our interpretation of it. Now, I got to couple this up with a personal story. Got to couple it up with a personal story. All right. Now, if you're after the gun, you can't be after a daughter. So, we'll set up another relationship. We'll set up after you get with this wagon train. You see this nice little girl who's no relation to you, but obviously a nice little, simple girl. And she's going to marry this guy, and this is our crook. Now we're getting somewhere. Catch?
Yeah.
Now we're getting somewhere. Now you think to yourself, you say, I don't know, something about this fellow doesn't ring true to me. After all, you're a Pinkerton man, you're a great detective, and you're undercover, and you're man, who thinks about people and sees and reads things in people. And this guy, there's something about this guy that doesn't quite ring true to you. Not that you think he's your criminal, because you're looking for a gun. And he hasn't got the gun because you've gone through his guns when nobody else is looking. And this we'll play. See, we'll play the fool out of this. That you're always snooping around, but they think you're harmless because you're playing a little clownish fella.
I tell you how I can do that and fool you and everybody else. I can give you the impression that I'm going to trade guns with anybody who's got a better gun than I have.
That's right. And you play like you're simple about guns. You don't know much about guns.
Yeah, I feel the way that.
Yeah, stupid things like that. That's right. And they think, oh, this guy. But then you're nice to everybody, so, because you don't want to set up that kind of a thing where everybody's giving you a hard time like poor Ernie Borgnine.
No.
We did that.
No, I'm tolerated.
Yeah, you're tolerated. They say, well, he's a nice little fella, and Bond gives it, Major Adams, they call him. And he says, I got to get rid of it. He says, oh, no, this fella's all right. He's been pretty helpful to us. He does this and he does that. We'll get a couple of little kids and have you do something nice for the kids on the car. You always have kids, when they're in show. We'll have you do something nice for the kids, or, for fishing, we'll have you, show them how to catch a fish or something like that. And amuse them, keep them happy. And that gives another reason, see. And I'm always trying to look for things that are true,
Yeah.
People do like people that are nice with kids, And the girl, we'll play scenes with the girl. Well, we did that with the Borgnine story, if you remember. I think we could almost use the same kind of a gal that is kindly disposed, don't you know, and she's nice to people, She's a nice kid, see. And we're beginning to get somewhere now. This is pretty good, man. I like that thing about the bullet, incidentally. That's one of the first instances of ballistics in the history of detecting, see?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And we can bring that out, but
You don't even need a magnifying glass. You can tell that
by the way,
that hammer
on the rim
hasn't got a smooth surface.
That's right. It's on the rim of a brass shell.
So
it's a distinctive mark.
Yeah, you can find that gun.
Well, I've used this.
You can connect it.
I've used this. This is true. We've got no problem with this. I've used this in pulp stories where there was a clue like that. And we'll now present this as one of the first instances of ballistics in the history of America. This will be part of our little story, see? That's darn good, boss. I'm awful glad you thought of that, because that's a little dandy. That's a dandy.
Of course, but
when we trace it down to Bond, this is going to kill everybody. But this has got to come right toward the end, because the first thing Bond's going to do...
Award Bond.
Yeah. Jeez. Now Bond, of course, has got to know right away. He says, I know where I got this gun. I broke the stock of my rifle and I borrowed this gun. Or I bought it, Well, where did you buy it? Well, I bought it in, St. Joe, wherever it was back along the line.
You almost have to be with the train.
Well, the guy's with the train, all right, but we got to devise some way that he got the gun from the guy without making it too obvious, that he just,
Who did I buy this gun from?
Yeah.
This guy's got to show up about there, it says there.
Yeah, that's right. And then it's the end of the story. Like
Well,
that.
yeah, because all you got to do is search your saddlebags and find out
The loot.
the
Sure, the loot.
and you get right then and there. You got him.
Yeah, that's right. Now, I think that's the storyline. The guy, the girl, the gun, the cartridge, and that's our storyline, Buster.
That would do it.
That would do it. We got to pad it, but that's the storyline. See, you're after you're a Pinkerton man.
Clear blue of you're a Pinkerton man in an arrest warrant bond.
That's your gimmick right there. You track the gun down to Ward Bond.
And
when you really, this has got to be played for a gag because it wasn't Ward Bond. By this time,
I got to find out where that gun comes from.
But you got to find out where the gun comes from. The first thing you do is you say, Bond, you're under arrest. And he looks at you like you're crazy. You show him your identification. You say, that rifle. Well, Bond is going to blow his top before you can explain to him that you know it ain't him.
And of course, Bond shouldn't be able to explain.
No,
it should take Frank to do it.
Sure, that's right.
Take Whiskers.
He says, Major.
Well, Whiskers, don't you know? I know where you got that gun.
That's not. Don't you remember when you got that
Don't
rifle
make up any stories.
way back in St. Joe? This happened, And there's this guy still around with the train. Everybody thinks he's wonderful. Everybody thinks he's a marvelous guy. They get one of those big, good-looking young heavies. And they say, well, geez, it can't be, but by God, it is, see? And then we'll have to devise an ending whereby you comfort the girl, don't you know, and say, look, aren't you better off? We'll have a big scene in which you explain to her, look, honey, you're so much better off you found it out, and then you take off with your prisoner. In a little thing. Funniest paddy wagon anybody ever saw.
Heading back.
No, you're heading for. You'll head for.
Well, in other words, if I only
Nobody knows.
if we got out as far as the
you head for
the eastern
Sacramento.
part of Colorado, for instance.
Sure,
I
you
just
head for
had to
Denver.
leave in Kansas. And our story ended when we were somewhere in Colorado. I turned around back for Dodge City, Kansas.
That's right, or Denver. Or Denver was a big town. You're the nearest big city. You know,
That's right.
wherever we are.
So I can leave them alone.
You can
I
go.
can leave the train.
You can go. Leave the train. It gives you an excuse for leaving a train because they ain't going to use you next week. And I think that's a good little storyline. We can work along that, and we can embellish that.
Bud can't remember how he got the
No, he has a terrible time, and finally,
in other words,
Twister tells
wait, what I said, wouldn't you say that there's only one gun in the world that could have made that exact dent?
That's right.
Now look at that hammer.
That's
Isn't that right?
Sure.
He says yes.
Sure.
He has to admit it's right.
Sure. Now that's a good ending. You see, that's a good darn finish. Oh, that's wonderful. Jeez, that's wonderful. And we can play our serious scenes with the girl.
I'm trying to think how far it would get if I put handcuffs on him. And
No, you couldn't go that far.
Unless
you slipped them on.
What?
You slipped them on him, you could.
Oh, sure.
Before you told him he was under arrest, see?
Yeah.
Then you go up to him, you slipped the cuff on him, and you got one on you, and he picks you, he can pick you up like this. See, what do you mean I'm under arrest?
Well, no, I was thinking of the silly part when he was trying to put that big large in my
That's the first thing you couldn't do. Oh, I bet Ward will go for this. He'll die over this because you know what a ham he is. And he's a good actor. I don't mean ham in a bad sense, because this guy can act, you know. He's my boy as far as that's concerned. There's no better character actor
I think
than
you
him.
come around there and see a couple of dozen Indians sprawled out on the ground out in front of my wagon, and then look around there and see this dummy down on his knee with the looked like a pincushion with arrows in all directions.
He'd go out of his silly mind. I could see him walking around that thing, scratching that big head of his, you know. Oh, gee. Well, we can talk the gags over. All the gags. See, I'm not worried about the gags because I know that all we got to do is go in there and you can think of them as fast as you know, you can even do them on the set. I know that. But we can think of them fast enough to put them in the script and drop them in here and there. I'm not worried about that. I know they're going to be great. The only thing I'm worrying about is getting the serious story, see. We can sell them a serious story. The gags will just drop into place like fish in a barrel. They'll just drop in there, you know.
That's right.
And I would just as soon sit down with Ward before we did the script and talk over the possible gags with Ward, which he'd be delighted to do this, you know. You know, he wants to do it and they don't want to let him, you know. But if we said, well, if you like the story, I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's get a hold of Ward, and we'll sit down, Bus and I'll sit down with Ward, and we'll turn on the recorder, and we'll have a ball. We'll sit around and kick the thing around and let him tell us what's the feasible things.
Oh, hey, I'll tell you now, if you want to do things to upset Ward. That we parked by this lake at night, camped. Whether we had our Indian fight there or whatever.
I think a lake is pretty well shored in this thing. I think you almost got to have a lake.
Every now and then.
I think so, because the mountains, what are you going to do?
Everybody pulls up. But during the night, I could have set an old-fashioned trout line.
Yeah.
That's a hook,
bobbins?
a hook every 3 feet.
Yeah, with the bobbin.
If you tied off the tree here and went around this end
That's
of the lake,
right.
and tied to a tree on this side, over here.
With the bobbins on it, yeah.
No bob. They're just...
There's
no bobbins.
Oh, just trail it?
No, because to come into it, it's against the law every place. It wasn't then.
It wasn't then.
And you don't let anybody know where it's at, so there's no bobbins on it.
Oh, well, could you get trout like that on the floor of the thing?
If they're biting, they hook themselves.
All you do is let it, and let it and carry it around.
Yeah. Let it down there, and every other hook would have a fish on it.
Yeah.
You come in with the goddamn mess of fish, and he sent them out there. The guys come in with one.
Yeah.
The lucky ones come in with 2 fish.
Yeah.
Come in with a string with like a bunch of bananas.
Yeah. Well, you can have somebody say, "Look, we can dynamite it," and you say, "Oh no, you don't do that. That's you know, it's not only against the law, but it's against all. You know, you kill everything in the
kill
lake.
all the fish in the lake.
And there'll never be fish here for the next people coming through, which is an awfully good little thing to put in there.
And the villain in our plot says, what do we care about the next batch? Dynamite it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Says, you dynamite that lake, says, I'll dynamite you and that wagon. You're wagon right out of this train.
That's right. That's right. Because we got to get a little conflict in here.
Yeah.
And I know how to do that, too. I've had this guy saying all the time, why don't we get rid of this man? And everybody says, well, he's all right. What's the matter with him? He's a nice fella. And they say, well, gee, you never complained about anybody else before, see? But he don't like you, because we got to set up a conflict. And then we got to get the best of him, every way, it goes. Now, I think if we get the Heavy, the girl, and Ward, you know this is going to be a cheap show for them to make. Buster, and we use Worcester, see, because we got to use Worcester, see. Now, that's about, that's only 5 big parts, Bus.
Getting whiskers and Ward Bond off in the corner, walking up to him and slapping handcuffs on him. Here's my credentials.
Oh, that's going to be very, very funny.
Says, what have I done? Says, you see the shell? He says, I finally found the gun that shot this shell. It was his bank hold up and Wells Fargo money, the box was taken and so forth. Says, I never took it. He says, that's your gun, is it? Yes. Says, do you think I think it is? No. He says, well, then it's your gun. I shot this shell. He says, yeah, well, this was left in the bank. He says, yeah, that's right. Says, I got to take you back. You got to stand trial. Well, they're now to get him loaded into my wagon while Whiskers runs like hell to see if he can.
Very funny.
But being in the spot there, not the whole camp looking on.
No. No, incidentally, they're looking to save money. They're budget-wise. Now they got all these shows. They realize, how many millions this is.
But, looking for a comedy.
$4 million.
A natural comedy sequence. Says, you can't ride up on the seat. The seat ain't quite wide enough for the two of us. You got to ride in the back. Well, I say, so now I got to tie your feet so that you won't get out and run.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. Isn't that funny? Oh,
trying to pack him in there with stuff, too.
Yeah.
The dummy with all the...
Yeah. God almighty.
And Ward can't put up a fight exactly.
No, he can't. Where'd I get this gun? He's only trying to think, where did that gun
come from? How did I get this gun?
Yeah. Jeez, and then Worcester says, well, Major, that's not your gun. That's you broke your gun in St. Joe or someplace.
Instead of doing one of the Indian fights, and the guy who threw him the other gun. He says, here, give me your gun. His jams are broke.
But who did it? He said, it was night. I don't remember. Now you don't know who did it, see? Hey, listen, Jesus, there's a hell of an idea. We might be able to use this for a second act curtain.
We don't know who.
He don't know where he got the gun. Somebody handed it to me at night. That's right. He says, Jesus. He says, what's somebody had it? Which is, I was alongside of you. Somebody threw you the gun. Said, hey, here's the gun, and threw it to you. He says, you remember we were fighting the Pawnees? But who did it? I don't know who did it. It's got to be somebody on his wagon.
We got to find out.
Now we go to the third act.
I got my man, as far as I'm concerned. I got to work fine, but he got to find the guy.
Now we got to put Ward to work.
Put Ward to work. He got to become a detective to find out where the hell he got the gun.
In the third act.
Yeah.
See? We can do it either way. But
I still have to see when the book handcuffs on book up, but he talks to me and says, I'm sure I can find the man and give me this gun.
Yeah.
Surely the guy that threw it will admit it's his gun. He don't know you're after him.
Yeah, and that's the whole clue. When the guy won't admit it's his gun.
He won't admit it's his gun.
Then you know.
Now you want the audience to get in on it.
Then you know, see.
Well, then it says, no. Well, then, give you guys suspicion of the one guy and then ransack his place and find the box.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to have to do, Buster. We're going to have to take the audience in on this right in the beginning, almost. Somewhere along the line. Because it's no good to play for that surprise.
No,
that's for the birds. Somewhere along the line, we will take the audience into our confidence. Like in the second act or something, we'll tell the audience who the guy is. Who has to come. We won't tell what it is. One thing at a time with the old don't say one thing at a time. And then after, because the audience is not going to believe it for very long that you are what you seem you are. They're not going to believe this for very long. we're going to have to reveal
your situation.
Yeah, that's right. As soon as we get our situation going, after all, Buster, it's just as funny if they know the audience knows you're a thinking man, then they think, oh, he's so clever. When you're disguising it, see. Yeah. See, it's just as well to let them know. And we'll find out when to do that.
You let them in on it.
You let them in on it, see, gradually, by degrees. In other words, the old thing, they say, you promise them something and give it to them,
That's it.
And I think they'll buy that.
But to make him a turn detective for himself, to try to remember who the hell. Of course, a guy stealing a Wells Fargo box or a bank box with money, first chance he got, he would have thrown the box away.
Oh, yes, it won't be a box. There'll be too much money. But it's too much money. Nobody's allowed to have this much money.
But I could, they still took serial numbers, didn't they, in those days? A bank?
I don't know. I can't answer that, whether they did or not. I don't remember, Bob.
Well, in other words, the packs would come in $1,000, $20 bills.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
what it is.
$500 and $10 bills. I mean, that's as big as the sacks would get.
And in the sack.
And in the sacks.
The sack's got the bank's name on it.
And if your file goes well concealed, you'd have your evidence. That's all necessary.
Not only that, we can make the guy give himself away when he's caught, too, As soon as he's caught, he tries to make the run, and make you grab him. We'll get a little physical thing there at the end. We'll work out some clever physical thing, so they can catch a very large man, but you can get the best of him. We'll work out a physical gag where you can, and a serious one, not a joke. A real good physical gag where you throw him over your shoulder or something with one hand, something like that. And it's the easiest thing in the world, sure.
The guy sees his strap, and you just told him, look at his, and he bolts down around the end of this wagon, and runs right into my tummy, points the gun at it, throws his hands up, and take it. But in other words, the second look, he goes, the dummy. This new lady dropped his gun.
By that time you run, see, you handcuff him like that. See,
it's very funny, freak me, but there's one guy like that. He could drop the gun, throw his hands up,
sure.
Nuts. It's too late.
Too late, you got it. I think you can do any kind of tricks you want to with a 6-gun. Because the 6-gun, in my mind, is a lousy, clumsy instrument anyway.
That's right.
Your actual weapon is a little snub-nosed .38 that you carry in a little pocket in your little gun that you carry in here.
What I didn't go
or 32 with a sort of...
I had a regular holster of a .45 gun, and I had a .32 pearl-handled gun, and I had a hell of a time getting it out of that. It went way down in there so far I couldn't get it out quick.
Yeah. But I want you to
have a rule. I had to put it up this way and shake it.
That's funny. But I want you to have a real gun that you really can use, so that when we get to the dramatic part, if we need it, you suddenly come from someplace with a very
inside your pants,
business-like looking wicked little weapon, see? And you say, just a minute, we're through fooling around,
Yeah, inside your
pants. You say, you killed a man back there, You're not killing anybody here. You killed a man back there and wherever it was,
You killed a man there and we ain't taking any chances.
Yeah. That's right. You don't have to play it for a big scene, but I want a piece of business at the end where suddenly you just drop this whole cloak of playing a fool, see, and you're a Pinkerton man, which is a pretty tough guy. They had good men. And they had brains. The Pinkertons had brains, which most people didn't. They had detective brains. Yeah. And I think we got a good little storyline here now. I really do.
Yes, but I know that the money disappeared with this wagon train.
You have tracked this man for a year, He moved all the way up and down the country. Maybe he did this in New England. He went down to New York, never spending any money, so that nobody was a clever fella. He just never spent this money. He figured he had it. You followed him. He knew you were on. Somebody was on his trail. You went down south. He came back up the river, up the Mississippi River from New Orleans. He got off at St. Joe, and he figures, I'm free. You're in St. Joe. 24 hours behind him, you say, just a minute, this guy picked up that wagon train. And they say, well, how do you know? He says, well, he's got the hand, see. Otherwise, I would have found it. Now, I'm not sure what he looks like, but I got a general description of this fellow. He's a big man, and he has a habit. We'll give him a gimmick, something he does, some little trick, because he gives himself away by it, see.
Oh, he dilutes his whiskey.
All right, that's nobody else did in those days. Yeah, he always puts water in his whiskey.
Yeah, half and half.
That's a good one. But at least they don't
You
do
ask
it.
the bartender that. The man
Yeah.
you're getting a drink that put half water in his whiskey. He said,
Wonderful
says,
buster.
who the hell would do that? There's never been a man like that in my saloon.
Wonderful. We may play some of these scenes. I don't know. We may play some of these scenes in the beginning. See?
Never been a man like that in my place. He'd be insulted.
You know, we may open up on this. We may open up on a couple of scenes which I shoot interior. On the stage.
Sure, on the outskirts of the towns where I try to pick up the wagon train. And he says no.
Well, before we pick up the wagon train, we may do a couple.
That's where I try to join them.
Yeah. Because they have to have a hook, you know, right in the beginning. And for an opening scene, we might play a scene of a Western scene. Say, level Western, say St. Joseph, and you come in. And but now, you're a different guy. You're the guy you're going to be in the last scene. And you come in, and you're dressed according the way you should be dressed.
You want a beer?
Not right now, boss. I just had a glass of wine. And you come in and there's a little violence goes on in the place, and you're a small guy, and there's a bunch of these big guys around, and all of a sudden, you settle everything like a little violence. Remember how we opened the Arnie Bergheim thing with the glass, and they took a shot, and he let him shoot the glass out of his hand as long as he get a free drink?
Yeah.
We'll play some kind of a scene like that with a little point to it, see? And with that, you take charge of the thing. Bond is there, but Bond, the train's already gone up. Bond's on a horse. He can catch him anytime he wants to. And bang, we establish a relationship. Now we cut, or we fade, because we go to the opening commercial. You know, we fade, and then when we pick you up again, we are. And then, you play the bit with the bartender about the guy, and he says, "Yeah, where was the guy? Well, he took off with the wagon train." See? Now, the next time we pick you up, you've played hell catching up this wagon train because you got to get your little wagon, you got to do all these things, and finally you call him, see,
Right.
and you give him this, and that's the way we'll start.
You could have guy traveling on that wagon train. We once knew that diluted his whiskey. If there was an odd canteen, somebody wanted water in a hurry. I got
Yeah, half whiskey.
whiskey.
Yeah.
There's an open canteen.
Yeah.
And he took a sip of it.
That's a good clue. It's a good clue.
It's
It's
whiskey,
a good clue.
but it's awfully weak.
Just a little touch of whiskey.
Might not be a bad idea. Because I was
It's
thinking
a good idea. It's a good idea. We can use it. We'll use it toward the end, see? And that'll be the first tip-off. That's the man.
Something
As soon as you pin
call
on
your attention to it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We can plant that.
It'd be better in a canteen than it would be if he had two whiskey bottles and then diluted half and half that way.
No, it'd be better this way. Be better this way because
A canteen holds more than a bottle of whiskey, and that just about holds 2 quarts.
yeah.
So you have a quart in there and a quart of water. He's got to drink.
And this is what he likes to drink all the time. He doesn't drink very much, but he just nips this little weak stuff all the time. That's good. And then we see the guy doing that, but you don't see it. The audience sees it.
Sure.
Now the audience says, "My God, that's his man, but you don't know it, see? Yet. And that's the way we'll
Very funny.
That's
Philip said
sure.
if we not accidentally hit Warren Barnes with something. And he's the guy that he choked for a second.
And the guy says, "Oh, I forgot. That's not the one I meant to give you." And he hands him another one, see, with water in it. See? The guy carries 2 canteens.
No, he said, "No, give me the other. It's
Yeah.
better for him."
Yeah.
And he drinks it and he says, "It's awful weak whiskey." That's all I'd have to hear.
Yeah. That's right. Well, you see, we'll play that scene when you don't hear it. Now, later, when you and Bond are looking for the guy, you say to Bond seriously, see. Now, in the last, let's say half of the last act, you and Bond are working together now, see. And he's completely amazed by this whole thing, and how did you do it now? But you're working together, and you say, well, we've got a rundown on this fellow. We know a couple of things about him, see. You might not be able to remember who gave you your rifle, but I can tell you this man waters his whiskey ponds. That's the guy. And you say, yeah, but wait a minute, how can you prove it? We got to prove everything. So now we're working, see, and between you and Bond in the end, work the thing out. Because that'll be much better for the whole show if you give Bond something to do on your side at the end, see.
Yeah.
Say, after the big thing, after the
I keep
gimmick.
reminding him, though, he's my president.
Yeah,
until
that's
he
right.
finds
Until
something.
you find it.
I won't be long. I'm glad to
That's right. Then you two can work together with that kind of a relationship, you know, that...
I don't take any chances of you running away.
You know, that
leave this wagon train here.
You know what you got for the last act there? You got the Captain Flag and Sergeant Court practically going for you, you know, or the thing that McLaughlin used to do with Bob Armstrong, remember?
That's right.
That was funny pictures, you remember, with Fifi Dorsey? Yeah. The guy goes, this is, I got the lay of the land. It was that little Swede, El Brandel, remember that scene? Because he says, she brings her in, and he says, why are you bringing this? And he says, you told me to get the lay of the land. And they got away with it.
Jesus, they did.
They got away with it.
In a picture?
Yes, they did. In a picture, they got away with it. And then she brought out a map or something, see, to cover the gag. Oh, they got away, because I was sitting in the theater when I heard it. I nearly fell on the floor. Of course, everybody didn't get it, you know. Sure, that was they were the first talking pictures, remember? Some of the first talking pictures were done by, I thought Armstrong was wonderful in those things, and McLaughlin was as he always was. Cockeyed World was the name. Cockeyed World.
That's right.
Cockeyed World. And there were several, but that was the big one, the first one. Sure, we can use that relationship to a T once we get in there, because he's so big, you know. Ward looks bigger than he is. You notice that on the screen?
Yeah.
He photographs like a great big man. Actually, he's a big fella, but he isn't big compared to Jim Arness, and fell 6'6". He's just about 6'1", but he looks about 7 foot high somehow or other. It's something about the way he carries himself, I think. Because, you know, he can't do anything physical very much anymore.
He can't?
Oh, not since he busted that hip.
Oh.
You got to be careful with him, you know. He can't. He's got a double now. He didn't used to, but he's got the double now. See, that hip is a bad thing, you know. He thought he was going to be. He limps, you know. He's got a limp. Yeah.
Eleanor, come here with it.
He looks older than he is, too, Ward does, with the gray hair and a gray mustache.
Hey, open me a can of mushrooms.
Gee, I could have done that, you know.
I gotta do it over a split anyway, now that I'm here.
Well, I think we got a storyline. My God, and it's a small cast, and it's not going to be
You still got a
expensive.
fire under those things?
Turn it off.
Oh, it's very low, though.
Here, Ray, these don't have to be cut up, they are.
Kill that too.
They're cut up already.
They are. Oh, yeah, we use those. Those are wonderful, aren't they? Stems and pieces. Yeah, they're wonderful.
Awful big.
I use that brand, too. That's a good brand, Eleanor.
Yeah.
Too big.
Don't ask me what it is, but I always buy it.
Brandywine.
Oh, yeah. I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
When you asked me, I couldn't tell you.
I know. We usually recognize the label. We use mushrooms in about everything she cooks. Of course, they go with almost everything.
Yeah.
Couldn't burn them, huh?
All
No,
along.
they're-
Yeah. I had the fire so low, they were mostly keeping warm.
Lee's going to write the cookbook, but I'm the one that's going to know how to do this, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm sitting there watching everything. She and John Hawkins. John came over this morning. You know, he's a funny guy.
Who?
John Hawkins. You know John Ward Hawkins. It was John, you know. He's a darling guy. Yeah, you got to meet him sometimes. You just love him. He's one of those outgoing, gregarious fellas, you know. Sits down right away, starts telling you some long story. Very good at storytelling, too, of course. And John was telling us this morning, this was recorded in 1958 when Buster and myself were asked to do a story for Wagon Train. Mainly because Ward Bond wanted to work with Buster. They were old and dear friends. Nothing happened with the story ever. We never did it. Although we did an outline and it was submitted to them. Ward was taken ill, and very shortly after that, Ward died. And of course, there seemed to be no reason for doing the story or bothering with it any further. This is Bill Cox,
who worked the tape with Buster. This is March 15th, 1968.